Welcome to Space to Grow, brought to you by Kachune Lube Kitchens Ireland. In this podcast, we explore how the spaces we inhabit shape us as individuals. I'm Natasha Rocca Devine.
And I'm Lisa Cannon. And of course, today we are very, very blessed because in this episode of the entertainment series, we are thrilled to have my friend and Irish radio broadcaster, Sean Munsanje, joining us here in the Devon, all lit beautifully for you, Sean, to share, of course, his experiences with the spaces he's inhabited throughout his life and career, from the Juice on FM 104, which you'll all love, to actually his new full home renovation.
So if you don't mind, I'd love to kick it off with your home renovation.
Let's go for it. You know
No
what I mean?
pressure,
Let's do it.
So tell us how this all happened. What was your plan for renovation? Because it's a tricky process, as you probably know now.
It is a tricky process, but I think everybody knows house prices are absolutely crazy. So we were living in City West in an apartment, and fortunately we bought at the top of the market. So we were there for 13 years, long story short. But we eventually got to a point where we could move. And this time we were going to move to a place that we knew people. First of all, because we moved to City West, we didn't know anybody. So we didn't have family around or anything. We wanted a place where we knew people. We wanted space to grow because we wanted our ITC. See what I did there? See what I did? But literally we did, because the only way for us to move to an area that would have a good school, we wanted the seaside, wanted all these boxes ticked, was to buy a small house that had a bit of land. It was like a garden reasonable enough that we could do an extension in the future, because we didn't have enough money to do the extension straight away. So we found a place by the sea, right beside Dunleary, and it was perfect. It was an old council estate. It was built in the 1930s, the house, but it was a corner house. So it was about 65 square meters. And we said, just, when you walk into a house and you just get that feeling
of home.
You just knew. And we put our stamp, and we painted the kitchen. We kind of put new handles on things just to make it a little bit nice for the time we're going to live in it. We didn't plan to do the job for a long time, because obviously we had to save up again. Then COVID came along, and we're sitting around kind of going, we're at home, will we start thinking about what we would do? And then we hired an architect and started doing planning, and it just suddenly spiraled. We got a dog during COVID, like a lot of people did. So we needed space to grow again. We needed more room. So
the titles work very well today.
We did start the job then. March 2022, and moved in November 2022. We were very eager to move in. We were taking up space in my parents' apartment down the road. So for them and for us, we said, okay, let's just move in. It's almost ready now. There's a couple more months, and it was finished, and it was the best thing we ever did.
And how do you feel now, when it's all finished? Are you really, is it just a home when you walk in every day after your busy day?
It feels like it, because everybody says it's going to be stressful, it's going to be emotional, it's going to be a lot. And it is a lot. Lisa. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. But it's so worth it, because every time I walk into the house now, I kind of go, oh my God, I'm so glad I really thought about that wallpaper, or I'm so glad I actually didn't impulse buy that sofa I saw. Because I think what I've done this time, by having the apartment we had in City West, I know the mistakes. We were lucky enough to have bought before. I know the mistakes. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I've learnt that actually buying just a coffee table that you love because you see it in a shop, oh my God, and you bring it home and you realise, it doesn't actually work with the colour of the
child. You have a child and then you have a dog. You have to think of whoever's in the house as well, 100%. Which people don't realise.
Exactly, Natasha.
It affects. Having children or pets really affect the space, as you know yourself.
It really does, because you're right, because the stuff I would have bought before, then it just gets ruined, obviously, when you have a toddler or whatever.
I have one. I know.
She does.
I have a 2-year-old. Yeah. I have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
I'm all over that.
Didn't know you had 2 dogs.
Monty and Millie.
Names too.
Monty and Millie.
But our daughter's now 8, so it's grand. So I knew now I can kind of buy a few nice things. Do you know what I mean? As in, she's 8, so I could actually buy the linen sofa or the bits that actually she knows she's not going to get a marker and start drawing all over them.
But you've been so, good allowing us public and normal Vormans in to see the whole change, as we would say, in terms of the restoration, but also the build, and then all the beautiful interiors that you did as well. Sean and I know each other 100 years, of course, but the fact that you allowed everybody in, I thought that was very brave. Did you get a lot of good responses from people? Because people love a renovation, don't they? And they love a build, yeah.
Do you know what? Because obviously I do my radio, do my TV bits or whatever. People know enough about me already, so I'm not overly worried about that side. And also I learnt so much from other people before. So I was obsessed with the whole. You have to. I think if you want to turn around at the end of it and go, I am almost 100% happy with everything in this house, you have to really be obsessed, because when they're building, they're turning around to you and they're saying, so where do you want this light switch? Where do you want this? What are you doing with this? What type? And you're just going, oh my God, I don't know. So you have to be researching building materials, researching what you have to have a scheme for every room, and I did. So I'm going to bed at night and I was thinking, oh God, what am I going to do for that room? Because they're going to put this, and even changing walls, because we had an architect who did the plans. And then during the build, he was kind of in the background, because we said, let's spend the money. I'll project manage the whole thing myself.
Which
so I was
is
visiting
so hard.
the site.
People don't understand project management is a massive job. You know that.
Well, I kind of project managed myself, but it was a disaster. I wouldn't recommend that. No. I'd go in Natasha's lead or your lead any day.
Well, you have to be, I think you have to be ready to pretty much take over your life if you're going to do it. It's a job. There's a reason why. You realise why people get paid, Natasha. Don't, as in, people get paid a lot of money to do it for a reason.
Well, there's 2 fees in design which people are not aware of. And I think there's an interior design fee which gets the concept going and introductions to brands, etc. And then there's a project management fee. And people are like, why am I paying that, Natasha? I'm like, trust me, if you are getting deliveries, dealing with tradespeople, managing schedules, you know what I mean?
100%.
And also technical advice. So that's a totally different system. And you need to be on site all the time. So people don't realise that you pay for 2 fees, but it's so worth it, because otherwise you have to stop your job, or if you've any other kind of busyness in your life with family or anything, you can't work.
It's so true.
Yeah, people don't realise that.
And if I didn't have the time, I really thought about hiring people for this, because obviously it's a big deal. As I say, this is, in our heads, this was kind of like, and hopefully maybe is, our forever home. So this was like the one, so it was like, okay, let's get it right. So I really did think about hiring someone, and people said, maybe you should. And I just waited up and I said, I really know what I want, if you know what I mean, for a lot of, and it's not, and that's not always the case. I don't think. I think because I've done a bit of styling in the past, because I kind of like what I like. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of went, well, would I be able to do it? And actually, I think I wanted to challenge myself and go, would I be able to do it? Do you know, as in, would I actually be able to pull it off? Anyway, it's done now, and
you're in.
We're in. Yeah, and we're loving it. We're absolutely loving it.
Now, I did a bit of preparation last night, Natasha. Be very proud of me. I watched Kevin MacLeod, of course, Grand Designs, in preparation for you coming in, because I knew you'd done a build as well. I was like, I need to get into the mindset of people doing a build. And there was this couple who, very similar to yourself and your husband, Chris, who had taken on this project that maybe they'd bitten off a little bit more than they could chew, but they wanted to get in and make it really special. And of course, I don't want to know your budget. Of course, everyone will want to know your budget and be nosy. But did you go? This is the big question, because I'm always like, okay, it looks amazing, but how much did they spend? How much over budget did you go? Roughly, you don't have to tell us figures, but was it a set amount you went, okay, we're never going over that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah. Well, houses are how long is a piece of string? You can spend anything on anything. Absolutely. So I think from the start, I had my main items, and I also had Chris, my other half, to reel me in. So for everything, I'd go out and walk the floors of every showroom, because that's the hard bit, that takes time, and present for tiles, here's 3 options, for a bath, here's 3 options. And actually that was quite good, because I'd be in my own head and I get carried away, as I said earlier, that I go, oh, I love this one. And he'd say, but is that going to go with, you were talking about purple tiles yesterday. You know what I mean? Is that going to go with that?
Hard,
but
he likes style, by the way. Look what he's wearing. Look at his Gucci shirt.
Yeah. She's broke.
He needs to be reeled in, Chris. Well done, well done.
But it is expensive. What I did at the start, and advise anybody to do, is write a list of your most important things, like what actually is worth a spend to you.
That's lovely. That's a really good tip.
For me, I thought the island, I wanted a nice quartz worktop. I've never had that. I've never had an island. I want a nice quartz worktop, little waterfall, and I will. Well, if we have the budget, I will spend the extra on that. I wanted a nice light above it as well, so I bought a brass fitting. I don't know whether we're allowed to say brands here, so I bought a brass fitting that's a long linear light that was gorgeous. Beautiful. I spent a bit on that. I got a nice sink for our bathroom. I got a marble sink for our ensuite. That was big. And I got a freestanding bath. They were the things, because when you walk into those rooms, so you walk in the front door of our house, you see that light feature, you see the end of the waterfall island, and there's glass through to the sitting room. So we got nice sofas as well, but they were like, and sometimes obviously we went down to the 2 tiers below the absolute favorite, but it still was a splurge for us. Do you know that kind of way? It wasn't that's the cheapest option, which sometimes you have to do.
So how over budget then? Are we talking a couple of tens of thousands?
I don't think, if you're talking about fixing, like the finishing touches, like we went a little bit over on our sofa, definitely. But we had a budget built in for everything, and we tried to stick to that for we probably went slightly over for bathrooms.
Bathrooms are hard.
Everyone's going to hate on me in this podcast. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
No, but
it's only because he's my friend. You see, I can push the
But
envelope.
you do. But I really went out, and sometimes I would by going out and taking the time to walk the floors of every showroom, interior shop, whatever. I bought a lot of things that were display. I went, oh no, I really, really want that particular thing. And I would say to people in shops, is there any chance you'd give me the one? Like, they'd be like, oh, it takes 3 months to order it in. For a lot of these things you find, it takes 3 months to get anything, right? So I'd say, oh goodness, are you like, do you need that display? Like, would you sell me that? Any chance you give me a discount on that?
You're a great project manager.
The amount of times they went, okay, we'll do maybe 30%. One time I got a coffee table once and I got 70% off it. It was on sale already, and then anyway.
You're a great negotiator.
But you have to. If you are going, I want this to look this way and I can't afford it. You just have to do whatever way you can, and that's one way definitely. I'm telling you, even freezers. I was like, they said it would take ages to order in my freezer, and I said, would you sell me the display one? They said, well, actually, we're getting in the new range in 2 months, so yeah, we will. I'm gonna give you. Which is a weird. I know it sounds really cheap, but like
they're a little bit scuffed. But who cares? Like small, sometimes they are.
Well, it was an integrated freezer. You're never going to see the outside of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was.
No, but I'm saying it doesn't matter because like they're tiny things, and as you said, it's if you want it on schedule. Because I think that's another thing people don't realize. It's the delivery times.
Yes.
Massive issue of projects. And just out of interest, do you have a trend or like a theme that you kind of went for? Like, what would you say your style is for the house?
You'd probably say, if you went into my house, you'd probably say, is Sean obsessed with green? Because there's a lot of green, but it's subtle, but that you will see green in every room. That was because what we did was, I do love nature, and we were lucky that we had a very mature garden. So on the outskirt boundary, it's like our shape was a triangle garden, right? So that's why the architect was brilliant and came up with this brilliant design for it that worked. But we're looking out, it got kind of a 3 meter high, I think it's 4 meters wide, so it's a slider out to the garden, right? So we're looking out onto this green and it's wraparound. We've got a window seat that again is floor to ceiling glass on the other side, and then it's a bifold from the kitchen. So all the way around in that open flat area, you can see the garden, and there's trees. And like now it's not a big garden because we use most of it, but you can still, there's all that mature shrubbery you're looking at, and it's quite tall and it's gorgeous. So I kind of went, it's really cliched, and I don't know say, but I wanted to bring that outside in. So in the bedroom,
but it's actually really good for your mental health, and you're so busy with all of your work, like radio, everything. You know, it's nice to have that kind of balance at home. It's really good. People don't realize elements and things are like scientifically proven to help your mental health, particularly in our Irish weather. So
and it does. It's so relaxing in our bedroom.
Light.
The wallpaper behind our bed is like, and it's something I was trying to be braver this time, because as I said, we had an apartment before, and we were very simple, beige, white, everything that will work in the future, but it's kind of boring. So I wanted it to have a bit of a character. So wallpaper with like a kind of dark and moody landscape, and it's all like it's a colour called railings on the wall, which is like a black blue in the bedroom, and that's in the main sitting room at the front of the house downstairs as well. And I thought I was being really brave doing it, but it worked out, and I don't think it's that brave anymore. I think everybody paints their rooms black, but it
is brave. No,
I think a lot of people do. Is it?
Yeah,
it is really brave.
I didn't go as far as to do the ceiling. Some people do the ceiling as well, which can be cool, but I went, no, it's too much for me.
It's really
well,
stylish.
you've so much going on, as Natasha says, and I'm here because we, of course, know each other through Expose, and I was very lucky to be at your lovely wedding to Chris. You've had a lot going on over the last couple of years, but essentially radio being your staple, that's your home, where of course you've thrived and met so many people over the years. Are you still enjoying radio all these years on?
I love it. I have to absolutely love it. I realized about 6 months ago, it was doing the Juice. Over 10 years I was doing it, which is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I was going, oh my God. But I absolutely love it, because the reason why I love it, in this job, every week is different. Like even me sitting here is I don't think I was ever going to be a desk 9 to 5 person, because I love meeting people, I love being out and about, I love every day being different. So I still absolutely love it. We have amazing contributors that make it, an amazing producer, editor. So I'm really lucky because it's media. So the 10 years thing, when I thought about it, I went, wow, Jesus, they haven't fired me yet. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, I must be doing something right.
But you're always, always on the ball. You know all your movies because we're movie buffs ourselves. But, you've met so many people, as have I. And because obviously we worked on Expose as well, there's so many that have overlapped. I mean, I have to ask you the question because everyone asks me, who have you loved over the last couple of years? I love looking at your videos as well. I love the one with Brad Pitt. But anyway, I'm not putting words in your mouth. Who have you enjoyed?
Well, Brad was amazing last year. There's people actually, the Brad Pitts, those people who are kind of legendary Hollywood characters like Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought those people are as fascinating as you'd imagine because they definitely had, when I walked in to sit down into the room, they had that charisma, that energy. You are kind of going, oh my God, I'm in the presence of a movie star. And it's not just because you know them from the telly and the movies, because we interview people all the time. It's a space. They have a charisma that, it's weird, but they really do. And they're very likable. But my favorite, I think, still is Meryl Streep.
I love Meryl
because I love Meryl Streep. Is she?
Yeah.
Well, she's amazing, and she's actually one of those people that you'd be happy to meet because she's great crack. I was the last interview of the day. It was for one of the Mamma Mia films, and she came out with me after the interview because usually they'd stay in and like their people would come in. When she wasn't leaving the room with me, but she was followed after me, and her friend was outside. It was in Claridge's, I'm sure, and they had set up photo booths in the hallway. So they had feather boas outside. You get dressed up and do for Mamma Mia for all the journalists. So I'll get a quick photo in the photo booth before I go after I get my bag, and I go back to the photo booth because the day's wrapping up. Obviously, I'm the last interview, and legs sticking out of the photo booth. Herself and the Bessie are in there, like posing away, having the absolute crack. I was going, do you know what, Meryl Streep? You're a legend. You actually are.
I heard she's amazing. I've heard that.
Really not.
I've interviewed her for the Iron Lady, so I definitely didn't get that response. But it was a wowee moment when I met her on a red carpet and then in a junket. But she's phenomenal, and I know, like me, you love those big movie stars. That moment to meet them, they are as.
And you only have 5 minutes or 4, or 3, depending on the day.
4 minutes with them, but
it's crazy.
It's brilliant.
But it's fab.
And who has been your worst?
Oh, no pressure.
Everybody always wants to know that.
We do. We want that juicy gossip.
You do have bad interviews. It is true, but I think my worst ever. And I think I still have a shudder when I think about it, was Jonah Hill, who I think has changed since. And I think maybe it was a little bit my fault, a lot his, a little bit mine, in that it was my first ever interview. So I was a bit green, a bit naive. So I went in, it was himself and Michael Cera. It was for Superbad, so it was his first movie, first big movie, definitely. And he was just very strange. I think he was just having a day where he wasn't having any of it. And he just would start saying random things as I was asking a question or as an answer, and it didn't make any sense. And when you're told, so it was my first interview ever.
So
I was so nervous in the first place. And then I was going, what do I say to this? But luckily, Michael Cera was an absolute dream. And every time Jonah would say something that maybe it was like a one word kind of, say like you do like a Beavis and Butt headline or something maybe, Michael Cera would come in with a proper answer. And he kind of knew what was going on, as in terms of me being terribly nervous. So I walked out of that going, oh my God, I'm not going to have a career in this business. I'm obviously terrible at this. But it was literally just, in my opinion, it was literally just. But he has changed, I believe. I'm not putting shade on Jonah Hill. He's an amazing actor. Don't come at me if you're a Jonah Hill fan. But that was my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the case. Guys, I've had loads of stories over the years, which I will tell and divulge in the podcast at another stage. But it's difficult because you've got to disarm big major movie stars,
and they're tired and busy.
Yeah. And so,
they don't want to listen to you really or me. They want to just get over with the publicity, get it finished with, and move on. But they've got to do it, so they've got to give you something.
Exactly, and I think he was genuinely just new. I imagine he realized after talking to his agent, PR people, and whatever, that everybody loses in that scenario. I don't have a good interview, so I'm not going to air much of it. He's kind of walking away, not getting the publicity for himself out of it. So, and he was starting off. Do you know what I mean? Now, didn't do him any harm, but I think he did change though. I imagine one day somebody sat down and went, don't bother doing the interview if you're not doing the interview.
Yeah, wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's okay to have a bad day. Like, we're all human, and it's just kind of, but it's just being a bit, not being disrespectful. Just keeping the respect there. You can be quiet and have a time out, but you don't have to be just like turn out Beavis and Butthead.
And it's probably a learning curve. Do you know, like as you say, it was his first film.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
because I find the really famous people are the nicest, and then the people who are starting off can be lovely, but can also not be lovely. And I think that's the learning curve in Hollywood. I think they realize, they kind of, oh my God, I've got a movie, I'm amazing. And then they realize, oh, people have to like me to stay popular.
Yeah,
and then they start actually...
I lived in LA, so I met loads of people and like that, like the biggest names. Like I met Barbara Streisand. I worked with her charity for her Heart Foundation on an event, and she was so cool. And then I met people who are kind of just starting out on TV shows, and they're like slamming doors in my face and everything at the event. And Barbara like shook my hand. I was like, the beautiful hands of Barbara Streisand. I was like, I'm never washing them. Obviously I did. You know, like she was amazing and so like just polite, like not overly friendly, like as you would expect. So graceful.
It's easier to
and
be
she
nice
was
than
so
to be
lovely,
mean.
and she was like, thank you so much. And she's like, I like your accent. She said something like sweet. And then, but I remember all the kind of some of the guests who were kind of upcoming actresses were so rude. And I was like, it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
I'm friendly and I'm here to help you and stuff. But as you say, like you live and learn. So, and I think
Exactly.
kindness.
Because you did have a few, didn't you? They weren't so nice. You know, we don't have to name them here, but there was a few that were a bit rude, even on exposure days. You know, you'd come into the office and you were like,
I know. Well, you don't know. That's the game, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to get. Because I suppose you're going in to interview strangers, as in we don't know them. We've seen them on TV, or maybe they're a singer, or maybe they're whatever, and we've an imagined idea of
them,
who they are.
Exactly.
So it's...
but they do look exactly the same. Because people say to me, you know, Brad Pitt. I mean, name a few of the biggies, just so we can do a quick list.
God, some of the big people I've interviewed, Al Pacino, or Steven Spielberg, or... I feel like I'm named. This is really weird.
Do it.
Name drop.
Jennifer Lopez. I loved Jennifer Lopez. That's one of
Go
my
on.
favorites.
You see, because people will go, well, does she really look that good in real life? And
She
you'll
looks
say,
amazing. Yeah, she looks amazing. And this was in the days where, so when radio was just, because now obviously we're in an online world, so all the interviews I do are on camera. So it means that I find on camera with an interviewee, there's this kind of slightly invisible barrier between you. Whereas with radio back in the day, you'd literally brought into a hotel room, there'd be a sofa, and Jennifer Lopez would be sitting on the sofa, and they'd be like, okay, we'll be back in 8 minutes. And it's more, and people, but the talent don't, like people, the J-Los, they actually put their guard down when there's no cameras. As in, so you actually, I find that back then you actually got more without the camera, because people just for some reason are like, oh, this is grand, I can slouch, I can be whatever.
Nature.
Exactly.
When you're relaxed, you
but
do
it was
let your guard
it was so funny. So
I need to straighten up a bit. This camera right in front of my face.
You look great.
Oh, God.
but I said J-Lo was amazing and lived up to my diva expectations, because at one point I said to J-Lo, do you remember that plunging green Versace dress she wore at the MTV Awards? It's iconic, and Vogue put it, I think, as number 2 most iconic dress of all time, right? So I say to J-Lo, your dress, I mean, was the second most iconic dress of all time. How did that feel? And there was one person in the room in a dark corner that I'd forgotten about, and he came out of the corner and went, excuse me, so I have to stop the interview. That was the most iconic dress of all time. And I really don't think it was to this day, because I'd read on my research. And then J-Lo, she's brilliant. She was like, yeah, I think maybe it was the most iconic dress of all time. I was kind of going, how did it feel to have the most iconic dress of all time? J-Lo just rewrote history right in front of me. And you know what? I was kind of going, living up to your diva credentials.
Yeah.
You're dead right. I love it.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, we're nearly out of time,
we'll do
Natasha.
our
Can you
fire
believe?
round.
Let's do our fire round.
Yes.
We have a little quick fire round for you, okay? And now it's one word answers, Sean, because some people have been not really going off script here. And have we?
Myself too.
We've had people like Deirdre O'Kane talked for hours on each one.
I joined
do
her.
that.
I was partly me.
Okay, I'll
I'm
do
going to
my
let
best.
Natasha kick off.
So what's a lesson you wish you'd learned earlier on in your career?
Ooh. To know when to walk out, as in, so I've done interviews since the Jonah Hill interview, and somebody told me, about a friend of mine, Serena Bellissimo, and other people have said it, that if somebody doesn't want to be there, you're a person, they're a person. If they're disrespecting you and they're not being particularly nice, why be there? Just say, listen, you're obviously not in the mood today, or something's happened. Why don't we do this another time and just leave? Have the respect for yourself.
I had one with Rhys Evans, the Welsh actor, and I wish I'd walked out on that, and Kevin Spacey's as well. Really good advice.
Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of
And like, do it respectfully, like you say, look, you're having a bad day. Like, don't just storm out, just be respectful and then walk. Yeah, I agree. Same with clients for me in a different way. Yeah,
Really?
you can just say, yeah, look, I don't think, I'm not here to haggle or beg for things. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a certain level of respect in work.
I think that comes with time and experience as well, though, because you have a worth. You're like, no, I've worked long enough and hard enough. I know my value. I don't need to be... I lose my dignity in front of someone on camera just for like, don't need it. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Bye.
lovely.
Love it. What is your travel space that you love the most? Where have you been to travel-wise that you love the most?
Ooh, I always think of our honeymoon. We went to Thailand, went around Thailand, and it was amazing because it was long as well. Like, as in, it was nearly 4 weeks. And when do you go on holidays for 4 weeks except
Never.
possibly your honeymoon? Exactly. So that was and it was amazing. I love the food, love the culture, love the place, everything.
People, so lovely
People.
there, so lovely. So what would be one thing about you that people don't know that they'd be surprised to know?
I love a bath. I spent in my bath. Did I say that?
Yeah,
I spent in my bath because I always in a hotel. One of the things I always do when we go away, run a bath. And you know, hotel baths run really fast. They always have great water pressure. So anyway,
Good to know.
always used to have baths away. Now I have them at home, and I love it. Got my freestanding curve. I'm just like,
All you need is Meryl right in there with you, the legs out. Well, she was in the photo booth, but yes, you need Meryl in there.
with her boa.
What is the most challenging space you've ever been in?
Challenging in what way? As in,
Yeah, just challenging. What has been your challenging space that you've been in? Has it been stage? Has it been TV? Has it been radio? Has there been a challenging moment, place you were in?
God, probably,
Hospital, maybe?
possibly expose, because
Oh, okay.
in terms of career, because I did a reality TV show, Total Exposure, and won that to become a presenter on Expose. So I think it's a different expectation. I kind of came into, it was an established program. Do you know what I mean? With you as one of the people who are there since forever. So I felt I kind of had to prove myself, figure out what this was, fit in, do you know what I mean? And you were also welcoming and made it easy in the end. But I definitely was like at the start going, because people had voted for me as well to win that. So there's almost as well kind of, people want me on this show. Why? I don't know. But let's try and impress them or make them happy. So yeah, that was challenging, but fun.
Perfect. What's a bad habit that you'd like to break?
Trying to fit things into my house that don't fit, as in seeing things that are amazing and going, that is the perfect, oh my God, I love it. And just getting, I need to get this, and I'm a lot better at it now, but I need to get this filter that I just, almost like a swipe, that I go, no, that doesn't work for your house. Is it? You wish you had a Georgian house. I don't wish I had a Georgian house, but it would work in a Georgian house or something. But like, you live in a modern.
Well, maybe you could do projects. Maybe there's a show we could
Maybe,
collab.
yeah.
There's a show.
Okay, Sean, if you weren't pursuing your current profession, what would you go with?
Well, I've had many former lives. I know this is supposed to be one word, but I probably would have stuck at songwriter. I had a publishing deal once. I was a songwriter, and I loved that.
yeah?
I did.
so
Former
cool.
life. I worked in a bank in AIB UCD, and I loved it. Bizarrely, I loved doing that. How much do you want? For a while, that was early life.
I want a lot,
Well,
thanks.
it was mainly broke students like myself. But yeah, what would I do? At this point, Lisa, I actually genuinely, I don't know.
Design. You
It's
seem
actually
very
something.
talented.
Do you know what? I'd love
Yeah,
to do
I
something
think
like that.
it'd be
That's a
really
good one.
great.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that's something I would love to do. But yeah. Otherwise, I don't know, because I've gone so far. Like, I originally studied computer science, but I'd never go back to that because
I
hate
think
it.
interiors, you could jump into do some flips and stuff. We collaborate.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I love that.
There's a job there.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to wrap up now. But what is your biggest accomplishment in your life?
Ooh, well, I think it's probably my family. My husband and my daughter. And our house. Like, we
And your
didn't think
dog.
we'd get to this part. And our dog Teddy. Jesus, she'll kill me. Our dog Teddy. We didn't think we'd get to this. Genuinely, we did not think, when we were in the depths of, we had this little apartment and it's worth half of what we paid for it. Do you know, that kind of way, in the big crash and all that? I didn't think I'd be here living in a house that we literally designed. Like, it went, do you know what I mean? The house went from 65 square meters to 190 square meters. We now have loads of space. We have the dream.
back.
We live beside the sea. We have a gorgeous village beside us. We have a little dog that we love. It's just, I sometimes wake up and I just go, I don't know how we did
got
it.
here.
I don't know how I got here,
lovely.
but I
So
pinch
beautiful.
myself and say, Jesus, thank your lucky stars.
Isn't he the
Oh,
loveliest?
you are. Please stay.
Sean, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming
so
on.
much
for
for coming
Space to
on.
Grow.
So much fun.
Natasha got everything she needed to know about your build, I
I
think.
did, and you seem so like you've given me tips about your top, things to keep or that you need, the most important pieces.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
It's a
definitely. That's one
really
to
good
live
tip.
by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you so much for
so
having me.
much.
Thanks. For more on Sean and his show The Juice, check out his Instagram at Sean Munsanje.
This episode was sponsored by Cucina Lube Kitchens Ireland. Check out their latest collections at cucinalube.ie.
And if you want to keep up with the latest from Space to Grow, make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And if you can, leave us a rating or a review.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Space to Grow.